All right, let's start lesson 13. This is solving systems by substitution. So we have 13.1 plus. This is math talk. We're going to evaluate expressions. So we're going to find the value of y when x equals 5. So we're going to plug in the 5 for x. So we're going to have y equals 3 times 5 minus 4. 3 times 5 is 15. 15 minus 4 is 11. So y equals 11. So this did specifically say to find the value of y, but I also want you to write beside it, because whenever you have an x and y pair, it's almost always going to be a coordinate. So we're going to have 5, 11. So this is our coordinate pair. And this is always going to be x, y. Just a refresher there. So I want your final answers to be like this right here. Okay. So let's go ahead and do the next one. We're going to plug in the 5 for this x right here. Okay. So we have y equals 2/5 times 5 plus 4. All right, so we have 2/5 times 5. There are a couple ways that you can do this one. You could do 2 times 5 equals 10. 10 divided by 5 is 2. But what I like to do is say these two 5s cancel out, and I'm going to get a 2 again. So we are going to get y equals 2 plus 4. So y equals 2 plus 4 is 6. Again, my final solution I want as a coordinate pair, so it's going to be 5, 6 for this equation. All right, you can see the next ones, they're adding in a little bit more here. So we have to plug in the x twice on this one down here. So we have to plug in the x here, so 5, it goes there and there. We're going to have y equals 2 times 5 plus 3 times 5 minus 1. 2 times 5 is going to be 10. I'm going to go ahead and write my y there. We're going to add the 3. 3 times 5 is 15. Subtract our 1. So I'm going to break this into 2. So we're going to do 10 plus 3 is 13. And 15 minus 1 is 14. So y equals 27. Okay. So final solution as a coordinate pair is going to be 5, 27 for this equation. Okay. All right, the next one we have x is going to go there, so our 5 is going to go into those two places. So we're going to get y equals 4 times 5 minus 5 plus 1. So something you may have noticed that I did on this last one, which I guess I should have explained a little bit better, was there were parentheses right over here around these numbers on the left. I went ahead and just got rid of them because we have a plus sign in front of them and there's not a number in front of them for us to distribute. Because anytime we're adding by a parenthesis, it doesn't change what's in the parenthesis. But over on the right side, we have minus the parenthesis. So now we need to distribute that negative to everything in the parentheses. Or we need to solve what's in the parentheses first and then make whatever we get negative. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to first do this 4 times 5, and we're going to get 20. So y equals 20 minus, and then we're going to do this 5 plus 1, so we get 6 in the parentheses. Then we would have that negative, which is the same thing. We're going to have 20 minus 6, okay? So I'm going to undo those two parentheses there. So we're going to have y equals 14. So our final solution is going to be 5, 14. Okay? All right, so I'm hoping this was a little bit of a refresher from when you guys were in middle school. So now we're going to solve for a variable. So let's see here. We're not always going to have x and y, so this is why we're solving for k here. So I want to isolate k. You guys have the tendency to like whenever we put a line through the equal sign. So what we're going to do is draw that line. We're going to subtract 2t from both sides. I know I cannot combine the 6 and the minus 2t because the 6 does not have a t attached to it. So we're going to have 6 minus 2t. Then we have solved for k. And I gave you guys a lot of space here to make sure you had enough space to put stuff. So if you write a little bit bigger, that's okay. You're going to have plenty of space to put everything here. We're going to put a line through the equal sign on number 2. We're going to solve for c this time. So we're solving for the c. So all we have to do to solve for c here is divide by 3 on both sides, because we want the c to have a 1 attached to it. So when we divide by 3, that 3 becomes a 1. So we get c equals, then we're going to do first, let's see here, we're going to do 12 divided by 3. That gives me 4. Then we're going to do 12 divided by 6. That gives me, not 12 divided by 6. We're going to do 6d divided by 3. And that gives me 2d. And then I'm going to, I put a 29. That is not what I wanted. And then I'm going to keep the negative sign right there because we were dividing by a positive and that negative was there, so we can't get rid of it. So our final equation for c is going to be 4 minus 2d. All right, let's do this one over here. We're going to solve for n. This one, so I guess again, I'm going to go ahead and put my line through the equal sign. To solve for n, all we have to do is divide by 10. So n equals, I know that 2 goes into 10, and I know that 2 over 10 is going to be a fraction or a decimal. So I'm going to take 2 out of 2 and get 1 or p. So I'm going to put 1. And we could write this a couple ways. I did say we could write 1 or p, so I'm going to write down here that there are 2 different ways you could write this answer. We could put 1 over 5 because 2 goes into 10 5 times. So we could have 1/5 p, or we could have p over 5. Both of those are the same answer. So it doesn't matter which way you write it, just know that these are the same thing, and I know these are the same thing. So if you write this down on a test, then I'm going to count it right either way. All right, number 4. We're going to draw our line through the equal sign. We're going to, let's see here, we're going to isolate the g this time. So we need to subtract 4 from both sides. Okay. So we are going to get h minus 4 equals 8g. Then we're going to divide by 8 on both sides. So we're going to get g equals, let's say h over 8 minus 4 and 8. 4 divided by 8 is going to be 1/2. So that is going to be our final part for section 2. So we're going to the next page now. Now we are going to graph these systems. So we have 4 systems, and I gave you guys a lot of space because I changed how I wanted this lesson to look a little bit. So we're going to solve each system by graphing. then we're going to solve the systems by substitution. And then we're going to double check our solution by substituting the solution into the original equation. So I hope on your guys' papers that these graphs are pretty legible. So first thing I'm going to do for system A, I'm going to look and see which one I could probably graph without doing anything. And I'm going to see that the bottom one is x is equal to -5. So I know that if x equals -5 and I don't have a y variable in it, then that's going to be a vertical line because it has to go through the x-axis. So I'm going to draw a line. Oh, I went to 6. My bad. 5. We're going to draw a line through there, and I know that was not straight. Bear with me. I'm trying to do this without anything. So that is x equals -5. Okay, so we've graphed one line so far. Our next line, we need to solve this for slope-intercept form. Okay, so we're going to do x plus 2y equals 8. We're going to move the x. A reminder of what slope-intercept form is. Sorry, real quick. Y equals mx plus b. So we want the y to be isolated. We're going to take away the x on both sides. So we're going to move it to the other side by subtracting. So we're going to get 2y equals -x plus 8. Then we are going to divide by 2 on both sides to get y equals -1/2 x, or x over 2, plus 4. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So I'm going to go up to the 4 on my graph. Then I'm going to go down 1 and to the right 2. And then I'm going to connect my dots. I'm going to do a couple of dots real quick. That way I can connect my dots a little bit easier. Let's see here. Actually, I'm just going to do it all the way through to the edge so that I can just connect and it be kind of close to straight. You do not have to do this on yours. If you have a ruler, it may be easier for you to connect your dots, but I do not currently have a ruler, so it'll be a little bit easier for me to connect, and I'm still going to get it a little bit off. Okay, then we're going to see that our solution is going to be about right there. Okay, so now I want you guys to use substitution. So this was part 1. So we solved the system by graphing. We've graphed the system right here, which, by the way, you should have arrows on the ends because these are lines that do not end in these directions. So let's see here. Then we're going to solve the systems using substitution. Substitution, I don't remember if we have talked about that yet, but in the case where we have x is equal to a number, we can just take that number that x equals and plug it in. So we're going to take this 5 right here, this -5, and we're going to plug it into this x. I'm going to undo that so it's not as yucky looking up there. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to use substitution. So I'm going to say graphing. So we are going to do, let's see here, I did this one in pink and I did this equation up here in blue. So I'm going to keep that consistent. So top equation's in blue, pink equation is in, or the bottom equation is in pink. Okay, so we're going to do -5 plus 2y equals 8. So we're just plugging it in. Now we're going to solve for y. I'm going to do this in purple. So we're going to add 5 to both sides. And then we're going to get 2y equals, let's see here, that is 13. We're going to divide by 2 and get y is equal to 6.5. Does that look where our y, does it look like that is where y is on the graph? Does that look like that is 6.5? I think it does. So that would be solving by substitution. I don't think we necessarily have to go back and do like what we will do on the next page, because this one is already solved for one of the variables. We're not solving for a variable yet. We will get to that point though. So let's go to the next one. Let's see here. So I can see that I have these two equations. Again, I'm going to do the top one in blue, and I'm going to do the bottom one in pink. The bottom one I can see is y equals -1. For y equals -1, that is going to go through -1 on the y-axis. It's going to be a horizontal line. And this graph down here is by 2's. I did that because I needed a graph that would go up to 13, because that one's already in slope-intercept form. So I needed to have a bigger graph, but your line for -1 is going to go between these 2 points right here, between 0 and 2, and it's going to be in between those 2 boxes. So it's going to be a little difficult to get that exactly straight. Again, put your arrows on the sides, so y equals -1. It's always a good habit to go ahead and label your lines as you do them. So we're going to start at 13 on the y-axis. It's going to be about right there. Then we're going to go down 7. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we're going to go to the right 1. Then I'm going to do that one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and over 1. Okay, then I'm going to connect those points, and my line is not going to be super duper straight. That's okay. I don't have the rulers out in the classroom. Just is what it is right now. So if you guys are in the classroom right now, I will eventually bring the rulers out for you guys to use. Okay, label your line. This is going to be y equals -7x plus 13. All right, so we've done our graphing part. Now we're going to do our substitution part. So we're going to substitute in that -1 for y into the first equation. So we're going to say -1 equals -7x plus 13. Then we're going to solve for x. So we're going to subtract 13 from both sides. So we will get -1 minus 13 is -14. A reminder on your negatives is that when you have two negatives, or you have a negative and you're subtracting the number, you add them. Okay? If you have a negative and you are adding a positive, you subtract them and then keep the sign of that bigger number. Okay? So we're going to divide by -7. And we are going to get x equals -14 divided by -7 is going to be +2, because a negative divided by a negative is a positive. All right, and then I'm going to look up here at my point, and I'm approximately at 2, -1. And I don't think I did my coordinates last time or this time yet, so I'm going to go ahead and do them for both of them. So our coordinate on the right side is going to be 2, -1. That's our final solution. And then our solution on the left side was, let's see here, it was -5, 6.5. All right, let's go to the next page. All right, I'm going to click over to the next page again one more time, because I want to see, I don't remember how much I have on this lesson, but I think, okay, yeah, this will be fine. We are going to I just realized that these do not have an extra line in them. So actually what I want you guys to do is I want you to do C and D for your practice problems, because this is going to be the end of the lesson. I will go into more depth on substitution on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week when we go into do elimination, because I just realized I do not have a more intricate problem on here. So I want you guys to do these 2 problems on your own, and we'll finish up substitution next week.